A natural med isn't just a substance you take. It is a lifestyle that one lives to amplify their health. We don't always choose how long we will be on this planet, but we can take action on the quality of life that we wish to enjoy.
The Natural Med podcast interviews different professionals and experts who look at improving the quality of health so they can live a more fulfilling life. Whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, or spiritually, we discover the secrets to their own journey and the small steps individuals can take on a daily basis to improve the quality of their life. Come with me as we travel, research, and discover how we can make incremental changes on a daily basis to live a more fulfilled and balanced life. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Natural Med podcast. I'm here today with our special guest, Andrea Martin from Forever Young Anti-Aging. Welcome, Andrea, and tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get started with Forever Young Anti-Aging?
Yes, thank you so much for having me here. So I'm actually originally from South America. I've lived in the U.S. now for over half my life. And my background is actually in engineering. So I'm a chemical engineer, and I started my career in oil and gas. So I ran operations, I lived internationally. I always joke back to the day that I told my parents I signed an international contract, and they were like, "Where in the U.S. are you going to be?" I'm like, "Well, I specifically signed an international contract." So they had to, let me venture out in my own path for a little bit, and that was a big change for them. But I decided to, pursue my career in oil and gas for close to 14 years. Towards the end of that, I was managing large operations in the Northeast. Mm-hmm. And during this time, I really was working probably too many hours and living a pretty high stressful life. And my health took a toll, and my health was not my top priority, and I'm the first one to admit that. So during this journey, I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I get my health back on track? I mean, my hair was falling faster than I could do anything about it. I'm sure my cortisol levels were, definitely not optimal. And I started embracing the journey of looking into my blood work, really figuring out what's going on internally and starting to optimize that. During this time, I am introduced to the concept of hormone replacement. I'm introduced to the concept of optimization and just wellness through your blood work. Mm-hmm. And I met the founders of the brand Forever Young. It's a franchise. And I really fell in love with the concept of helping other people. I particularly have a soft spot for women that do a lot and have a lot on their plate that perhaps haven't really gotten a chance to optimize themselves in a while, and they're pouring into everyone around them and not necessarily themselves. So I found met with the founders. I love the concept of using your own blood work to really diagnose and give you personalized recommendations. As an engineer, I mean, you tell me data, and I'm like, let's swim in data as much as we can so we can find the root cause of what's going on. And what we've been able to do with that has been really incredible. So it took me about a year to get the project up and running. And actually, that's the reason why I moved to Flower Mound, was to open the business here in the Texas area. My family's here, so I was planting roots. And now we're in month 7 of our business. But I'm really grateful for what we're able to do and being able to be part of other people's health journey now.
Wow, that's awesome. That's so cool that, you kind of took some experiences you went through to kind of, improve yourself and then, encourage other people to improve their health and everything. What are some of the services you offer there?
It's a 360 approach. We have the feel your best side and the look your best side of it. Mm-hmm. It's very much welcome for both men and women to come in. Actually, our colors are, green and gray, and you always see me with some sort of neon colors. I always wear. I think you can't see my socks are have green on them. But the goal is that we can be a hub for everything from your hormone replacement therapy program to we do peptides, which are great in boosting specific functions in the body, to your aesthetic side as well, all the way to hydrofacials, and we have an IV lounge in-house as well. So the goal is that whatever you're looking for, we can offer, and hopefully it's something that not just you, but maybe your partner will want to come and do with you, trying to change date night into an IV lounge date. So we do a little bit of everything, but we can definitely make the best recommendations if we've been able to do your blood work.
Nice. So now the peptides and stuff, do y'all work with like guys that are into bodybuilding and stuff like that? Those type of peptides? You have testosterone and peptides. What's the one that's like pre-HGH and all that stuff?
We definitely do testosterone for both men and women, which is something I learned along the way, was that testosterone is really important for women in their actually overall well-being when it comes to hair health, which is something that I was suffering with, energy and sleep. And a lot of the peptides that we do are actually both for men and women. And actually the cool thing is these are regular people. We don't necessarily have, we do have some, great muscle-looking guys, but a lot of moms are on peptides. We have a very popular peptide. It's called ipamorelin CJC. And essentially it's a branched-chain amino acid, and what it does is it signals the body that your growth hormone is not optimal. So you take it right before you go to bed, and throughout the night, which is when your body is producing its own natural growth hormone, this acts like a signal. I like to explain it as adding another crew to the factory, but the factory hasn't changed. It's still your body. We're not adding anything synthetic. It's essentially letting your pituitary gland do its thing throughout the night, just more effectively. As we go older, everything starts, declining slowly. Growth hormone is one of them. That's why I always joke that we can do a little bit less than we did in our 20s, sleep a little more, and we're still more tired. Growth hormone has a lot to do with that. When people get on a growth hormone peptide, the first change they see is the quality of their sleep. They're able to really feel refreshed and whenever they wake up. And then slowly they start seeing their recovery at the gym be better. Their muscle mass and body composition starts changing. And it can be delivered in a couple of ways. It can be a troche, which is essentially a dissolvable that you just put in your mouth and you let it work. And some people like shots, and those would be nightly. So there's a couple of different peptides that we do, but it's definitely about improving, the quality of your day and how you're feeling.
Now, does insurance work with this, or is this people paying all this out of pocket, or?
Yeah, this is definitely out of pocket. And one of the things that we look into our blood work is your IGF, which is that marker for your growth hormone. And we work with a compounding pharmacy that sends it directly to you. So if you are already on some sort of hormone replacement program with us, we'll create a bundle so you can be on your hormone replacement and then also your peptides. We work with people because we know this is out of pocket, that sometimes you want to do more, and that everyone's financial situation is different. We're mindful of that, so then we'll create personalized bundles to make sure that you get the best results while you're with us.
Wow, that's cool. How long does it usually take when you start taking the peptides to kind of see the changes and effects?
Yeah, so the case studies alone have actually, they tell you the progression over the first 8 weeks of you being on the peptide. The first week being your sleep, the second week being your muscle recovery. But so there's a lot of research around that. However, it's cool to actually see it in action, where people, that's the first thing they notice is their sleep. And we all joke about, because everyone in the staff is on a program. So that's, if you walk into Forever Young, everyone has tried something that we do and they're on it. And we all joke about our ipamorelin dreams, because some of us had never dreamt before we started taking peptides, and all of a sudden now we're like, hey, what kind of dream did you have last night? 'Cause we're finally in that state of sleep. And for me, it's important because I have 2 little kids that still don't sleep through the night. They're old enough to be sleeping through the night. But when they do wake me up, I'm able to fall back asleep quickly. And that has been a game changer for me, because before I would be like, oh, at 2 a.m., okay, I'm going to work for 2 hours because I can't go back to sleep. Wow. But when I take the peptides, I'm able to kind of go back to where I was.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I've been dealing with lately. Yeah. It's like I work till 1 a.m., and so then I go to sleep at 2 a.m., but then the dogs or something, if there's a storm, they wake me up at like 4 in the morning. Then I have trouble falling back to sleep. Then she gets up at like 6 a.m. and goes and works out. I have trouble falling back asleep. Then the kids get up at like 8 and go to school. I have trouble falling back asleep. So I just don't feel like I'm ever sleeping really well. So it's tough.
Well, it sounds like we can talk.
Yeah, sounds like we
sure.
need to come see you. For sure. That's awesome. I didn't realize that y'all offered the peptide service. So does it go kind of hand in hand with the hormone replacement?
Yeah,
also?
And we have some people, we have an age, for hormone replacement, you have to be over 30 to do any program with us. Mm-hmm. Peptides is a little bit different, but definitely for sure hormone replacement, we have a cutoff. And the reason why is if your hormones are already declining and you're below 30, there's probably another reason why, and it's another medical reason. And we never want to put a Band-Aid. We want to make sure we address the root cause. Yeah. So when we do the blood work and we do an in-house physical where we go through your medical history, we do an extensive panel. It's reviewed by multiple practitioners before you're approved as an HRT patient. It's in order to keep you safe. So if we find something else that could be the leading indicator of why your hormones are where they're at, we will go send you to the appropriate person before we put you in on a program. And a lot of people have appreciated that we're not just simply, giving you the testosterone and letting you go on your way. But that piece is key in making sure that we are setting you up for success. So a lot of people come in for specifically that, but then they will do maybe peptides on the side. Now, maybe for those between 30 and 40 that are on the fence about starting on a hormone replacement program, we work with them on how to optimize what's the low-hanging fruit on the blood work. So whether it's your DHEA, which I'm sure you're familiar with it, but a lot of people don't know DHEA is also a hormone that matters in your body. Well, you can supplement that without supplementing your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So we're able to create a program that feels right for the patient, and they don't feel like they're starting something that maybe they weren't ready for. Or we'll look at their sex hormone binding and seeing, is that really high, and is that messing with your free testosterone? How do we optimize what your body's currently doing? So maybe you're not starting an HRT program, but maybe we'll start with a peptide. We'll start with some supplements. Where's your vitamin D level? And it already starts creating the snowball effect of better energy, better sleep, better mood, and people also are happy about that. And later on, we can talk about when is the right time for someone to get started on hormone replacement.
Awesome. That's cool. So what are some reasons that people might have hormone imbalances besides like aging and everything? What do you see in like younger individuals? The
thyroid can be a big contributing factor. So we do a very extensive thyroid panel and make sure that we're looking at that. Also, we know that your liver enzymes can be affected through a hormone replacement program. So we're going to look at the health of your liver before you even get started on it. So perhaps it's not necessarily something related to this is what's contributing to hormone replacement. But unless we get this under control, the hormone replacement might not be the best time to get started. So we look at everything from your livers, your kidneys, your cardio panel, making sure that that's in a good state as well, and your thyroid. Those will be key. I partnered with a physician who, I searched for her. I jokingly said it was harder to find her than to find my husband because I was looking for the right partner when I was going to open Forever Young, and she is an incredible physician who practices what she preaches, and that's what I was looking. I was looking for someone that whatever she said, I would be like, well, I know she's doing it, and I know she's an example, and she's definitely that. So Dr. Thornton, she's a mother of 6.
Oh, my goodness.
First of all. It's
busy.
Yes. All her Christmas card, I was like, it was very impressive. They were all Olympic athletes, it looked like. It was very, very cool. But she does CrossFit herself. She's in the actually board of health for the CrossFit Games, for some Ironmans. She's always promoting wellness in the best way, and she's seen the effect of not taking care of your health. So anytime she looks at a blood panel, she's been an anesthesiologist as well, so her eye for blood work is very, she hits it out of the park every time. So she's reviewing it from, hey, I think this person might have XYZ. Let's send them to this specialist so they can confirm it. And usually people come back and go, thank you for that, because I thought there was something off. So even though they don't become our patient, we know that they took the next step that they needed to.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good that you're trying to find the root cause rather than putting the Band-Aid on it.
Yes, and we do blood work throughout your journey. So most women get on pellets, but you don't have to. The pellet is essentially the size of a grain of rice. It's inserted. It lasts for about 4 months, so it's slowly being released through the 4 months. But some people do like creams, or men mainly do injections. But we require continuous blood work in order to make sure that we're keeping tracks of your previous markers, where you're now, and we'll look at everything that we did throughout your journey. And so is everything moving in the right direction?
Wow.
So when you start on that and you're doing the continuous blood work, it's like twice a year? You're just checking and making sure?
We're actually doing we do a full panel when you first get started to get approved into the program, and you'll do a full panel once a year. And then you'll do blood work every 90 days.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And that's our protocol, and we'll do blood work before every pellet. And then depending on if you are a new patient for us, we'll do, let's say you get your pellet today, we'll do a smaller panel 6 weeks after, because that's usually the peak of the pellet, just so we can see, was this the right dosage for you? Because every person metabolizes everything differently, and we don't want to just have a cookie cutter response. We want to know what is optimal for you as a person, with your lifestyle, with the things that are pressing for you, so you can feel your best for those 4 months.
Wow. And what are some things that people may notice about themselves that could be related to hormone imbalance, like things they can look for that they may not even know that are happening?
Well, I'll speak personally. My anxiety tends to go down when my testosterone levels are where they need to be.
Yeah.
My husband loves it because I'm type A, so if we're driving together, I'm always like, the car in front of you is slowing down. And he's like, I know, I can see it. But that's when I'm like, oh man, okay, I think my pellet's wearing off.
Yeah.
I think I need to go redo my blood work. Something's happening. And this just recently happened to me because we've been so busy that I moved my appointment a couple of times because there were patients that wanted to come in, and I was like, okay, well, I'll move myself. And I was delayed by a month, and that month I was like, okay, my patience, my overall energy, and my anxiety I could tell everything changed. So testosterone can lead, to so much hair loss, your health of your skin, your sexual health, which is also important, can be a big component. So we do have a lot of couples that come in together to get their hormones in check. So that can that can be a benefit as a couple. But those are big factors that can contribute to your hormones not being balanced.
Wow. And what are some long-term effects if you don't have your hormones balanced? Like, can that be overall damaging to your overall health and longevity? And
that's a great question, because a lot of the research associated with hormone replacement actually extends longevity on many factors, your bone density, cognitive functions. There's a lot of research, and already well-founded, peer-reviewed research that shows that getting on a hormone replacement program, when it makes sense for you, has proven to delay a lot of other illnesses down the line, because our hormones manage everything in our body. So essentially, you're letting your body essentially start declining. So there's a lot of great founded about, especially cognitive function for me is really important. And obviously, as someone that's had 2 kids, like my bone density is important. Things that I know I already have had an impact having, birth 2 babies. So those are key factors that are important specifically to me.
Yeah, awesome. And what are some of the other services y'all offer besides hormone therapy and peptides and everything? I know you said hydrofacials
so I have
things
an
like
awesome
that.
esthetician in house, and she's great at providing skin regimen routines. I have a couple of great injectors. Actually, we just onboarded a new injector who's awesome. So we help with facial balancing, making sure that if there's something that's always bothered you, let's talk about it. How do we make sure that we enhance your features? I'm big on natural enhancement. I never want anyone to walk away and immediately someone being like, "Oh, I know what you did." I want people to be like, "Are those new bangs? Like, something looks different. You look really refreshed. Did you have a good night's sleep?" And they don't know that they got some work done, and it's about maintaining that. So we do neurotoxins, we do fillers, and we have that's what I want to be known for, is just natural facial balancing and keeping your natural beauty, just maybe reverting back to some of the volume that you also lose over time. We have some cool graphics so we can walk you through when you come in through a free consultation of explaining why fillers can be great, especially as your facial anatomy starts changing as you age. We naturally create gaps in our face has gaps of the body fat tissue starts moving. So that's all filler does, is kind of refill some of those areas that have moved around, and we can kind of show those pictures and explain maybe why certain areas have changed, and perhaps why you look in the mirror and you go, "Oh, that looks different." And then of course the IV lounge, which is a favorite one of mine, because I know I try to get my water in every day, and I'm not the best at that. So I usually have them hook me up to an IV at least once a week while I'm working. No excuse. And my office is right there. So might be harder to get a hydrofacial in during the day, but an IV, I make sure I get in.
That's good.
Yeah.
What are some reasons people may, because when I think IV therapy, I think of, those kind of like hangover parties that people get. So,
Yes.
But that's not the only thing it's good for. There's other benefits too.
Well, and I'll be transparent. I'm a really hard stick. So anytime you bring needles and veins, I want to run the other way. But that was actually jokingly when I was hiring my staff, I was like, if you can get an IV on me, you're hired. And I was like, no. It's like it's a challenge.
Yeah.
But they've made it actually pleasant. So one, obviously, hydration is going to be key. We actually have an in-body scan in our consultation room that shows how much body of water you have in your body. So we can actually keep track of your hydration levels and see when where you're at compared to where you should be as far as your goal. But we have your amino blends, especially if you are actively working out. So we have recovery IV bags that help flush out lactic acid and ensure that your muscles get those B vitamins that are really going to help regenerate. We have what we call our Forever Glow, which has more of your vitamins that are going to help with skin health, with hair health. And you have your Myers that is going to be more associated with if you feel like you're coming down with something or you want a shield that has a nice boost of vitamin C. And then we have our Mega Cocktail, which is Forever Young. And that's everything under the sun that you can think of that's beneficial, from your vitamin C to your calcium to your amino blends, glutathione, which is it's antioxidant and removes free radicals in your body. A lot of people see great benefit if they've ever been exposed to mold or any sort of toxins. Glutathione helps flush that out. And we see a lot of people just come in sometimes even just for the glutathione with a 1,000 ml bag just to get some hydration in the process. So we have NAD, which is one that I personally haven't tried, just for full transparency, because it does take a while to do it as an IV drip. It's a slow drip that you have to do, so it's a commitment. But it's next on my list to do.
And what does that do?
Go ahead.
You're the expert.
No, I was like, you're the expert on that stuff.
It's energizing, right?
It is.
And I've heard the ketamine IV therapy that people do, the acute week-long therapy for PTSD and stuff like that, they also can include NAD in it. So you can go elaborate more on NAD.
No, but NAD has been proven to even remove, to help people that have addiction. It helps regenerate your cell down to the mitochondria. So it's helped a lot of people that feel like, whether they have certain history in their family of certain, mental diseases that they're trying to avoid. There's some really cool research around NAD and cognitive health and function. but it does regenerate everything. But it is a slower drip. My understanding from it, and I like to say my understanding because if I haven't done something myself, I would like to be clear about that. But it too fast, the reason why it's slow, it's a powerful IV, so you want to take it slow so your body can assimilate and absorb it and actually be beneficial.
So when you say a time commitment, are you saying like a couple hours?
Yes, a couple hours. Yes. No, you don't have to live it forever yet. It's not a forever IV. No.
I've heard, I watched this video about IV ketamine therapy for PTSD, and it was a week-long session. They went once a day and got the ketamine therapy and then kind of had like a guided meditation to help with the PTSD, but they also included the NAD, and they did talk about it can be a little bit a little intense, like make you feel kind of a little bit. I don't know if
your heart is. I think it's that rush feeling. I think that's
of your heart kind of increasing and everything. So,
and I know the proper protocol for NAD is you have to do it once a week for 4 weeks, and then you can move to once a month for you to really see the benefits of it.
Wow.
I know some people do it by injections, and I think that's more of a newer method of delivery.
Oh, okay. So like an IM sub-Q. Injection or sub-Q?
Sub-Q, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
do y'all offer sub-Q or just?
That's enough. I just actually recently this morning spoke with a compounding pharmacy about sub-Q NAD injections, because then you don't have to have the time commitment of sitting and doing it via intravenous.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's interesting.
And for someone that's not in this field or nursing or whatever, what does sub-Q mean?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
No.
He's a finance guy, so.
Well, I learned this recently myself. I feel like I'm always like, and like muscle versus it's okay to put it in your fat. So, if there's certain shots like testosterone that you want to do intramuscular, but there's other things like I know we have a weight loss supplement, a weight loss peptide called semaglutide that could be sub-Q. Some B12 you can administer either way, but usually all of that comes with the direction of the pharmacy.
Okay.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that y'all offered that. That's interesting. Have you heard about IV ketamine therapy or gotten into that, or is that?
I haven't, but I'm intrigued now that you're planting that in my brain, and I love the idea of it coming with some support while you're doing it. That could be really life-changing. So I'll definitely. Now I have my homework.
I'll have to get you some information. I've been kind of reading up on it. As you know, not just I own this business, but I am a nurse and first responder as well, and I work with other first responders that deal with a lot of, mental health issues, PTSD. I have a lot of family that have dealt with PTSD, so I've kind of done some research on it a little bit, looked into it for them, and it's kind of like, up and coming, and, I've heard some good things with it, so it'd be interesting.
I'm sure even addiction centers I know addiction centers use NAD in their protocols, but I'm curious even where that, that falls in kind of with that.
Yeah, plays in with the
mental
ketamine.
Health is so important.
Oh, yes, it is. It is. So do y'all offer anything else for mental health besides the NAD, or is it just mainly like wellness?
Yeah, I think definitely our realm is more on the wellness side, but maybe that is an opportunity for the future. Because I know for me, I think just in general, I think anyone that has a lot on their plate, and I feel like probably everyone around here has a lot on their plate.
Yeah.
It's keeping a gauge on mental health is important. So maybe there's something there for the future, because I do believe in it.
Yeah, definitely. And it sounds like, having your hormones balanced and everything, and not having all that anxiety and everything like that, that's definitely going to help with your mental health as well.
Yes, absolutely. So I think it's that, just kind of one being on the preventative side. So one of the things that I like to tell people is, the blood work that comes from a lab has very wide ranges. So what we provide is we grab the values from the lab, but we put it in what we call a health profile, and that's your optimum ranges. So just an example I give is vitamin D. Vitamin D is fine between 33 and 100. Well, we know that someone at 34 and someone at 85 probably feel very different about their levels of vitamin D. So we bring that down as, yes, this is a wide range, but this is the range that has been proven to be the most optimal range for vitamin D, and that's what we encourage. It's similar with testosterone, with estrogen, DHEA. So that way also we can start being preventative about, hey, this marker could be outside of ranges soon. Let's keep an eye on it. And even if we don't manage it, we can keep an eye on it for the patient and go, hey, remember we said maybe your liver enzymes were starting to get a little bit out of whack? Like in this recent blood work, they were. So let's make a note. So let's come in for an IV, let's hydrate, let's figure out what else you've changed in your diet in the last 90 days, because there might be something that is influencing it. So, and then we'll send you to either your primary care to go look at it, but not waiting for something to be full on red, down in a lab. Let's try to have this information at our disposal and make it easier for everyone to be on the preventative side.
That's awesome.
You mentioned checking to see if something in their diet had changed. Do y'all work with people's nutrition as well? Y'all have?
Yes, we do. We have a nutritionist in house that we can use, and then we also have a great local partner. She's a personal trainer and a nutritionist that helps people that are looking to also incorporate strength training. That will always be something Dr. Thornton will say. If you don't have a strength training program, she will recommend that you do. And so we have those resources to provide. Because I know sometimes, walking in the gym can feel like, well, where do I go? What do I do? And how do I make sure I'm getting results? If anyone comes into us for weight loss, we do encourage those healthy habits and using any support that we do as a tool to create those healthy habits long term. But yeah, we have a couple of resources to give to people.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like back to mental health a little bit. I feel like just getting your sleep fixed is probably 80% of most people's issue, because I know I feel wildly different if I haven't slept good, and I think people underestimate the value of just being properly balanced and being able to sleep through the night good, and a deep sleep. Not just laying there and going in and out and stuff like that. So I think that's probably a good place for everybody to start, is just making sure their blood works good and they can sleep through the night, and then add on to things from there. But
yeah, that's you I think that's spot on. And I know I might be jumping the gun, but a tip that I'm going to just steal from Dr. Thornton for anyone's wellness. She encourages sleep hygiene. So making sure that you have a routine around your sleep, and when do you put your phone down, when are you going to get in bed, and actually creating a routine for yourself that is going to provide that support, and making sure that if me included, right, I wake up, the first thing I want to know is what's going on, have any patients texting me, do I need to do something, making sure I give myself, even when I wake up, a solid 20 minutes of, okay, let me get up, let me grab a glass of water, and before I jump in the mix of life again. And the same thing before the bed. Now I'm luckier that my kids actually fall asleep a little bit quicker, but I have to wrestle my son for sure for at least 45 minutes. But then after that, it's okay, what am I going to do to really wind down from the day? Because sometimes it doesn't stop until my kids go to bed. That's when the day actually ends, and that's maybe when I finally have 10, 15 minutes to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can definitely be hard when you're just busy and constantly going, and you don't have a good nighttime routine.
Yep.
And everything. I run into that too. With the busyness, life is so busy, especially with kids and business and everything. So
and kids, they're you love the cuddles, and they wake up and they grab you, and it's so nice, and then you're like, I just hope I can fall back asleep. But with peptides, though, that helps.
Yes. So tell us something that our listeners can kind of take in, that they can maybe a tip or trick they can do on a daily basis to just something to improve their overall health. Maybe just a little something that they can do every day.
I would encourage, and I know everyone might feel a little bit differently about logging their food, but I would encourage that you grab at least a couple of days and figure out how many vitamins you're actually consuming in a day. What does that look like when you actually break it down into the micro level? Because there's so many ways that naturally you can improve your omegas, that you can improve your vitamin D levels, your vitamin C, and sometimes we just don't have visibility to that. So even being aware can be a big starting point. So I'm not necessarily saying you have to log for weight loss, but sometimes log for awareness of what all in a day are we doing and we consuming, and maybe what days do you have the most energy, and bringing it back down to what foods did you have that day. I know it's easier sometimes to do processed foods, but the more natural and the more you can bring it down to the basics, and asking yourself, how do I bring down my nutrition back to the basics today, can lead to just better even numbers on your blood work. And if you haven't done blood work in a long time, I encourage people, regardless if you want to get started in a program, leverage the fact that you're going to have multiple practitioners reviewing your numbers, and then you're not in the blind. If there is something getting in the way of your goals, maybe you have been logging your food every day, you have been working out, and you're not seeing anything move. Well, let's just peek under the hood. Let's figure out if everything is good, and then you can, if your efforts are being, are being put on the right tools.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. It is good because it's so easy to just grab something that's packaged or processed, or go through the drive-through. Especially, both of our kids have been in sports for years, and sometimes you're just so busy during the day, you just want to grab that convenient meal. But it's good to look at what you're eating and making sure you're incorporating whole foods. I love that.
I'll give a plug to my personal trainer, Rachel Grief. She's the one that, very stickler. She was like, send me the back of whatever you just ate. But it opened my eyes to, she's like, okay, read the ingredients. Do you see the block of ingredients at the very bottom? Like, and now look at this bread over here and look at the ingredients. It's like, it might have the same calories. It might look like it's super healthy, but, dig a little bit more on what you're consuming. So she opened my eyes to that. And if you ever want a good grocery list, I would say go to her Instagram, Coach Rachel Grief, because if you follow what she eats, you won't fail.
Rachel Grief?
Grieve, yeah, Greve.
Okay, on Instagram. I'm going to have to look her up.
Yeah.
Well, where do we find out more about you on your socials and everything?
So our website is foreveryoungflowermoundtx.com, so the number 4, Ever Young. And we're very active on Instagram and Facebook. So on Instagram is foreveryoung_flowermound. And we post, stuff pretty much every day, tips and more insight into what we do. And then you get to meet the staff. I have very lucky to have a really great staff that believes in what we do wholeheartedly. And that's really important when you come in. You're talking to people that have done what they're telling you you're about to do. So that's important.
That's awesome. And y'all are in Flower Mound, kind of by Bridlewood.
Yes,
area.
We're on Cross Timbers, west of Long Prairie.
Yeah, Long Prairie. And y'all are right by Row House, too.
We are right by Row House. Yes, they're amazing.
Great place to work out.
Yeah, and Flower Mound just approved, I think, a $10 million pickleball area right over there, too.
I think it's right down the road.
That's going to be successful.
We've gotten into pickleball recently, so Josh
I
is
have recently learned what it is.
Yes.
It's not played in South America, so...
Yeah, well, thank you, Andrea, for being on our show. Really appreciate it. This has been a lot of great information and everything. So,
well, thank you both for having me and opening up your home to me.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we'll see y'all next time.